Hey, Mike. There's Denise. Hey, Mike. There's Denise.
Is Sheila in town?
Sheila's
I
just
thought-
attendees, yeah.
Oh,
I talked to her today. She said she was going to be here.
There she is, right there.
Okay.
I don't see her.
She's in the attendees.
Oh,
So I'm moving her over. Okay. I've been following David's adventures on Facebook.
I'm here.
you sure about that?
Thank you.
Yeah, you can bring Jamie over. I was just looking at the agenda.
Great.
Okay. Are we ready to begin? Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Select Board to order on February 24th at 6 p.m. I will take a roll call. We're opening the public meeting and I will take a roll call. Alan?
Here, here.
Pat?
Here.
Mike?
I'm here.
Ed?
Here.
And I am here. Good evening. This is a virtual Board of Selectmen meeting. If you wish to make a public comment and speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature on your device. The moderator will be notified and will unmute you. Please identify yourself before making your comment. And David, how many participants tonight? Just the one.
It's okay.
You're going to have one. He's the
You got
one.
it?
He'll
He's
get
the
it out.
one, yeah.
He's the one.
Item 2, approve February 10th, 2022 Selectmen meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
And Pat,
Yes.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and Sheila says aye. Motion accepted. Item 3, public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone who wants to address the Board of Selectmen with any issue that is not on the agenda. We're all set. Okay, good. Item 4, consider renewal liquor license application for the Ramp Grill LLC DBA Pier 77 Restaurant located at 77 Pier Road. The staff recommends approval of all the licenses we're going ahead with.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we'll take a vote. Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and Sheila says aye. Motion is accepted. Item 5, consider renewal liquor license and special amusement application for the Colony Hotel located at 140 Ocean Avenue.
So moved.
Second.
And the roll, Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and Sheila says aye. And did I skip one?
Not yet.
No, you're
Nope.
perfect.
You're right on,
Okay.
right on
All
the
set.
line there.
All right, thank you. Item 6, award bond for radio communication tower project.
Good Good evening again, everyone. I'm Denise Brown, the Finance Director. At the beginning of February, the town of Kennebunkport put out a bid on the $1 million radio tower bond. We received 2 bids. They were very close. One was at 2.57 and one was at 2.59 for interest rates. I'm requesting authorization from the board to award the bid to the lower bidder, who is Androscoggin Bank.
I'll make a motion to accept the bid of Androscoggin Bank at 2.5%.
2.57.
Second, yeah.
2.57.
Yeah.
All right.
I say we accepted it 2.5. I like Alan's motion better.
I thought I said 2.57.
Okay,
You got cut off.
Oh,
all right. And so that's my,
I think Mike seconded it.
that's a motion.
and Mike. Okay, thank you. And we'll take the roll. Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and Sheila says aye. Motion is accepted. Passes. Item 7, review proposal to develop regional task force for fire services. Okay, I think we go right to Jay.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah, so on this starting this task force, the two towns have always worked really well together on emergency calls. Our mutual aid has always been a very important part of public safety, and it's getting more so where we're trying to attract the same members, whether they're a call company or a per diem or a paid workforce. We're looking in the same pool. We've had some success with Kennebunk, the two fire departments combining, along with Arundel. We've done a training initiative where the three towns, we do the same training every month. So it gives all our memberships 3 different times to make that training monthly. So to keep up with their skills and what BLS would come in and look for in our training records. This has been going very well. It's been getting more people to training overall, which is great because it allows us to do more things as well. But the pressures that have been exerted on municipal fire departments have been kind of mounting over the last few years. Increased call volumes, the need for staffing, increased costs of the resources, our buildings, our equipment, things like that. So we've been thinking about ways we can maybe help each other out. So the conversation between Chief Rowe from Kennebunk and I was due to both towns planning for the purchase of a ladder truck. And obviously the big expense that comes with it. Right now we're looking it would be in the neighborhood of $1.2 million. So after doing some research, we've discovered that some neighboring fire departments already have a plan like this in place. And a deputy from Kennebunk, Bill Van Dyne, and I met with the Wyndham fire chief to discuss what they do. They currently share a ladder truck with Gorham and have for quite a number of years. They also share a station between them, and the fire department mechanic serves both towns for all their fire department vehicles. So this was just an example of one of the things we could go, and it's how this whole idea started is looking at the ladder truck. So we decided, Chief Rowe and I decided we should bring this to our respective town managers, and we've had the discussion earlier this month, and we decided that the next step would be forming this task force to explore all the possible ways the fire departments could help each other. So I'm asking for your blessing tonight to move forward with this. The task force job will be to come up with the ideas, update the board on them, then work through all the details and bring a proposal forward to both boards to consider. I envision having maybe a quarterly or biannually update as well, or whenever the boards might need to be giving us some guidance. And last thing is Tuesday night, the Kennebunk board supported this plan. Chief Rowe presented it to their selectmen.
So I have a question.
Sure.
When have we scheduled for a new fire truck, a ladder truck? Where's that scheduled at?
Next year.
Next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're also looking at buying an engine for that year as well. And one of the vehicles should be able to be covered by Kittredge. The thing about the ladder truck too is it's a type of vehicle that both towns need and should have based on the size of our buildings and things like that. But it's not always a truck that needs to respond to every single call. So in that, the sharing might make sense of a vehicle like that, as opposed to an engine that carries the water, because, you know, we have to have more than one of those in each town anyway.
So we have one now, correct? We retired
Yes.
one, and we have one.
We have one that will be 25 years old when it's being replaced.
Okay.
Jay, how many mutual aid calls do we have in a year with Kennebunk?
Probably right now, I'd say 4 to 6 or 7.
And do they involve the ladder truck
Sometimes.
sometimes?
It depends on, I mean, if we're going mutual aid to Kennebunk, it depends on what they need. We typically, mutual aid calls, we would ask for a certain piece of equipment if that's what we need. It might be just manpower, but it might be that it's a ladder or another engine or what have you.
And how many ladder trucks? How many ladder trucks do they have? One?
They have one as well.
Are they getting ready to retire that one also? Do you know?
Their truck is older than ours.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you ask, did you ever ask the question, what happens if there's or what are the chances of there being a fire at the same time in each town? Probably next to none, right?
Well, there's obviously certainly a chance. I would never say, oh, no, that's never going to happen. Because for me, it would happen 3 days after the agreement started. But for the most part, you know, there are other ladder trucks around as well, Wells, Biddeford. So there are other places to go. Really no different than if I called for another truck from somewhere and it was out being serviced that day and not available.
Who's going to house it?
More than likely it would be here in some of the preliminary talks we've had, because I have the room and the higher doors. Washington Hose, where if we were sharing this, Washington Hose over in Kennebunk only has 10-foot doors. So we would they would maybe have to do a renovation there, or you can get a ladder truck that would fit there, but it ends up having limitations to what it can do for you.
So I just want to bring people back on the fact that we're not talking tonight about actually sharing the ladder truck. We're just talking about exploring ideas like that. And if there's merit to them, we bring them back to the board.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
If I may, I'm all for being a good neighbor and helping out Kennebunk and, you know, seeking reciprocity with them. But I'm not really big into getting into bed with another municipality and creating a whole hierarchy structure. You know, all we have to do is look at the school system and see how well that's worked out for Kennebunkport. So that is my cautionary tale when I would ask you to talk with Kennebunk, Jay. I will not support anything that gives away any of our autonomy in the future, even if it costs us a little bit more money.
Jay, I would be receptive to seeing whatever plan you people come up with. I think that's something that would be relevant for us to discuss rather than jump to conclusions about.
No, but I think we should set out some guidelines from the beginning, Mike. That's all. And I agree with you. I wish we had something ahead of it to discuss, but
we're dealing with professionals here, and I don't think the professionals are going to let things get out of control. So I think we let them. I would recommend that we let them go ahead and discuss and set this up, and they've got to go to both the selectmen over there and the selectmen here. And I'd be anxious to hear what they come up with, because we're looking at $1,236,000. I can't remember the exact number, but $1.2 million or something like that for a ladder truck. And if there's a chance to share that cost, that's a big plus.
Well, I think my opinion is, I'm all for looking into everything, the task force and everything. I think it's a great idea to do that. I have some revisions about sharing big equipment. So I really would like to see how that task force, how they would handle that.
Right, and that's one of the things that the task force would be tasked with doing, is coming back with, this is how it's going to work, and this is what happens when whatever the resource may be is purchased, how it's going to get used, who's responsible for it, how we split the costs. Things like that would all be part of, I envision it as part of a proposal that we would bring to both boards. And you could even send us back to do more work if we didn't answer questions satisfactorily.
And we would retain our own administration, i.e. yourself and your assistant chiefs and
yes,
Dick Stedman, etc. We're not going to give up any of our control over that, correct?
No.
At least that's not your vision.
No. This was looking at it. Like I said, it started with the ladder truck, and Lori's right. We kind of got off that's what it was all about. But that's what started the conversations, and Jeff and I kind of went, hey, if we can do it here, we could possibly do this, et cetera, and that's where this kind of blossomed to this task force. But as an example, it was just really a cost-saving measure. We're both looking for the same vehicle at roughly the same time, and looking to save both towns maybe some money. And it, like I said, it does work elsewhere, and they've had good luck with it.
And I guess I want to just be clear, which is why I am a proponent of the task force, is this is much more to me than just we're going to save some money on a piece of equipment potentially. I mean, we are on the cusp of, which Jay has talked about the last few years in the budget cycle, about our ability to continue with an on-call fire service. And we have been very, very fortunate in Kennebunkport that we have continued with an on-call force as long as we have. Many, many other communities have fallen to per diems and full-time fire departments. And we're not talking a little bit of money. I mean, if we have to go to a full-time fire service, we're probably talking about $1 million in annual operating costs that we will add to the budget. And even if money is no object, it is an object of an issue where we're going to find these staff, because firefighters are retiring and we are not replenishing them at the same rate they're retiring. And so there's only so many bodies out there that are firefighters, and we're pulling all from the same labor pool. And the reality is that we have 200 calls a year. I mean, that is less than one a day. And so we're going to instill an entire full-time firefighter service one day for that number of calls. I guess as a town manager, I don't know that that's the most prudent option. And it may be the path that we choose one day, but we will at least want to explore what other options are and how we might work together, because Kennebunk is having the same issue. Arundel has the same issue as Kennebunkport. And I understand the desire to maintain control over our own destiny, and I would never suggest that you give that up. But I would like us to look at what other options are there as we look at service models in the future.
I agree with that, 100%.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I think, the task force, something like that starting out, they may give us some good ideas. So I'm just questioning, the heavy equipment, so to speak, if we want to do that. I just want to see some more information, that's all.
Absolutely. And I think you should. And that's one reason we've talked about the task force, including firefighter level as well as officer level and chief level, because if everybody in the organization doesn't buy into it, it won't work.
Well, I like the idea of having somebody from outside, like they suggested, to come on to be on the advisory committee. I think that's a great idea, because it really lays out all the differences for people to consider. I think that's a good way to go.
I agree with the task force as well, but I have to support Ed. We have to be careful about the two communities coming together beyond this. And that's all I'll say. But
I know they're the enemy. I know.
Steamrolled.
Let's
No, they're
do the
not the enemy. They're just a lot larger than us, and I worry that we'll get steamrolled, just like the RSU. And I'm not here to beat up the RSU. That is not my point tonight. But my point is to protect the interest of the taxpayers of Kennebunkport. And Jay, I know Bill Van Dyne very well, and he is a first-class individual, and I couldn't imagine a better person to work with. So you do have my blessing to go ahead with this. And I'm not trying to beat you down, Jay. I just would be remiss if I didn't spell out right at the beginning some of my concerns so that you don't go into this with the unrealistic ideas of what the Board of Selectmen may or may not support. And I'm happy to talk to you at any time, Jay, if you want to reach out to me.
No, absolutely. I understand.
Jay, I'd like to see you go in with a positive attitude, and I'm very positive about it. I think we're getting off on a negative standpoint here, and I think we ought to just be looking at, say, hey, we respect what you're doing, and we know that you're looking out for our best interests. You don't need a lecture.
Well, I make a motion that we go ahead with this.
All right.
Need a motion.
The motion to authorize a joint task force to examine regional partnerships and to report to the BOS on a biannual basis.
I second that.
Second.
Okay, and I'll take the roll call. Pat?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And Sheila says aye. Okay, motion passes.
Great.
Jay, that's back to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Chief.
Good luck,
Thank
Jay.
you,
Thank
Jay.
you.
Item 8, consider request to write off pier dues and mooring fees. Who is going
Chris
to?
isn't here. He's on vacation, but if Lori doesn't want to speak to this, I can. I have some familiarity with it.
Yeah, no, I was going to have Denise speak to it.
Okay.
Yep, I think that, the information in your packet is fairly clear. These are ones that
It's pretty straightforward, yeah.
Chris has brought forward. Denise, do you have anything to add?
No, they are pretty, we met, both Lori and I met with Chris and talked about each one of these, and they make sense. We're prepared to write them off, as well as any accrued interest.
I'll make a motion to approve the write-off on the amount of $1,332 in mooring and pier membership fees. These are people that did not use the facilities, correct?
They sold their boats. Some of them moved out of town, etc.
That is what we understand from Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. That's my motion.
So I'll second that.
All right, and let me take the roll. Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And Sheila says aye. Motion passes. Review proposed amendments to land use ordinance regarding signs.
Werner is here this evening, and he is going to discuss the memo in your packet.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Werner.
Werner.
So I have two items regarding signage that I'd just like to chat with you all a little bit about. The first one is what I'm going to suggest is going to be a bit of a legal housekeeping item related to signage. And I won't get into any specifics, but there was a number of years ago there was a Supreme Court case, Reed versus Town of Gilbert, that specifically got into when towns could impose content-based restrictions in their sign ordinances. And so the bottom line there is that municipalities are pretty heavily restricted in terms of being able to regulate content as it relates to signs. We can regulate things such as, size, location, things of that nature. But Supreme Court came down and was pretty specific with content. And so when looking at our sign ordinance, we very specifically have a good carve out for commercial signage. But one of the things that I would say that we're lacking on, and that is likely not consistent with the Supreme Court decision, is how we deal with non-commercial signage, that would be considered, in a lot of cases, would be considered a matter of a First Amendment right in terms of free speech. Some of that deals with content. Also, some of that I would say would deal with a time frame in which a non-commercial sign could be placed on private property. And so, to address that, I've been working with our legal folks over at Drummond Woodsum to bring to you all some proposed language that would bring our sign regs into compliance with that particular Supreme Court decision. So that's my first piece. Then the second piece I want to talk about is that we've had discussions. I'd say primarily at the department director level, just about ways that we better communicate with folks in town. And how do we inform residents about different types of events and things that are going on in town? This is anything from meetings to, things that we want to convey to folks. And so there's always this, we're always looking for ways to better communicate with people. And so one possible solution, could involve, municipal message board. So currently, though, our sign ordinance doesn't permit any type of an electronic message board that could be put up at municipal properties. And so this is something that would require an ordinance amendment as well in order for the town to have the option of being able to do that in the future. And so just bringing this forward as something to discuss, and if this is something that we want to consider maybe for the future. So with that, I'll take any questions if folks have any.
Warner, are you talking about one of those big ugly signs that you see in front of a lot of town halls, like that was in our paperwork? So what I just said, this does not look like Kennebunkport, and I don't mean that in any particular way. It just doesn't seem like a nice, quaint little town. It just looks so out of place. I mean, no matter where they are, I just can't picture that in front of. The
reason why we are bringing it forward is because we right now use the traffic sign that the police have in front of the village fire station on a fairly frequent basis to publicize voting, to publicize, blood clinics, any number of things, to tell people about hazardous waste day, whatever. And so I thought, rather than have a big, ugly traffic sign that we continued to put up on the side of the road, that we might have something that might be incorporated in a building design that we could use to also advertise, public meetings, planning board, selectmen, things like that. You'll see them in front of a lot of municipal offices nowadays. It is a question about whether that aesthetic is something that Kennebunkport wants to incorporate in their zoning or not. But that's the reason why it came forward. And it's to us a question of, is it an effective communication tool? Oftentimes when I am, we're trying to get the message out about something, I often hear from people, oh, I saw it in front of the fire station. And so to me, it seems effective.
And that is effective, but that's temporary. It's there for a month or a couple of weeks and then it's gone. It's somewhere else in town doing its job, monitoring traffic. But I mean, obviously tonight's a preliminary discussion, but I don't know. Good luck getting that. Good luck passing that.
I'll give you my 2 cents. I like the sign actually, and I wouldn't want to see it in Dock Square, but I wouldn't mind seeing it at the town office, not the town office, but the fire station, or where the new town offices may be. I don't see anything wrong with it. And I'd rather see that, what we have in our picture, than have that temporary sign on the side of the road. I
agree with Sheila, and I was going to bring that up too. And it doesn't have to be like this. I've seen some very, very attractive signs where the actual sign itself is enclosed in a very tasteful. It could be architecturally consistent with what we do in Kennebunkport, et cetera, except for the sign part itself, the electronic sign, but it can be shielded on the sides and in the front. Doesn't have to look like this. It can look like a lot of different. If you drive around, you see them almost in every single town. I won't say every town, but most.
For our town, as small as we are, we frequently hear from people in town, "Oh, I didn't know you were doing this, that, or whatever."
Exactly.
So it makes great sense to have something like this that is a resource that can be used to update people in town who may not be on, the latest whiz-bang electronic gear. Anyway, the point is, I think it's a benefit to the town.
Oh, I do too. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Sheila.
No, go ahead.
I like to be reminded of things because I forget a lot, right? That's the way I am. I would like to see something that would fit, like Sheila said, in the location, probably at the village fire station, that would blend in enough so it doesn't stick out like a big sore thumb. But, we're doing it now in a way with the roadside signs lit up. And if we had something permanent, I think it would look a lot better than what we're seeing now, even though I'm not against that particular sign at all, because it does remind everybody of what's coming down that's important to the town.
Yeah. Werner, can you explain again the Supreme Court issue? The fact that we have sign regulations, why is that against the First Amendment? What is it that we're doing that's against the First Amendment?
Sure. No, that's a good question. And it's not that we
might not have to change our ordinance, but go ahead.
So you're right. So what legal counsels suggest to towns is that you make it abundantly clear within your ordinance that, that your signage doesn't regulate, that your sign regs don't regulate necessarily based on content. Okay. And so that, right. So for example, right now we have a very clear carve out within our ordinance that talks about, commercial signage. And so that's, for advertising a store or items for sale, things of that nature. And then we also talk about, political signage, as another example. And I bring that up because, political signage, but also, somebody having an inspirational message that is out on their front lawn, that's a First Amendment, item. And so right now, one of the things that is inconsistent in our ordinance, it talks about limited timeframes in which those signs can really be up. And so, so imagine being in a position of saying, all right, so the commercial signage, the sign for the rum line is allowed to be there. However, the inspirational sign that is in your front lawn can only be there for 30 days. So it becomes an issue of free speech. And so we as staff, we have known of this issue, and we've respected, we've respected, the rights of, folks to be able to do that. However, we've had some circumstances, especially over the past few years, just with political signage, that, folks have looked at the ordinance and said, wait a minute, your regs say X, And our response has been, yes, we understand, but Supreme Court says why.
Yeah.
And so it's time for us to do the housekeeping and make sure that the ordinance is consistent with that, with that hearing or with that court decision.
Thank you.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Do you need a motion, Warden?
No, I don't need a motion. I just, as we start working on this, I want to make sure that the board is informed, that we'll be bringing some of this language forward. So the first one, again, this is an item that I see as this is something that we need to do. The second item is more of, getting your all's feedback in terms of, is this something that, that you want us to pursue? Do you want us to pursue coming forward with some language that would allow for, some, permanent, municipal signage that would be electronic?
I agree with Sheila.
Yep. I would say go ahead.
I'm all right with it.
I told you what I thought of it, so you can go ahead with it anyways, Warner.
No, fair enough. And
I agree with number one, the first part of it, though, the housekeeping. Absolutely. That's a great idea. I maybe there's a better looking sign that perhaps that was not the appropriate picture that we should have put in there.
It's not a good one.
No, it is not.
Not a good one.
Yeah, no, there are definitely, there are professional sign companies that can make this type of signage in all different types of, shapes and styles and, and things of that nature. And so we'll have some language in there in terms of, some design standard piece. However, that's something that would ultimately really be up to you all as the board then I would think to approve a design, that would ultimately show up on town-owned property. So I suspect you all will have, the final say in terms of what it would look like anyways.
And this is just for us, right? For the town itself, nothing for the public.
That's
no neon signs, nothing like that, right?
That's my proposal, is that this be a very narrow municipal exception, for this specific purpose.
Can we limit it, Warner, to say in the ordinance that there can only be one or two signs throughout town, permanently fixed signs, so some future board doesn't decide to plaster every municipal location with one of these signs?
I don't think
It's just something to consider. It's not something we should discuss tonight, but
Yeah, 10 years from now, everything might be changed anyway. You get your notice on your phone.
It might
I
be
don't
up in
plan
the
on
sky
being on this
blinking.
board in 10 years.
All right. Well, that's good, Warner. Thank you. And
Yes, thank you.
we'll hear from you
Thanks,
again.
Warner.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Have a good
Good
night.
night, Warner. Thank you.
Thanks, Warner. All right. Moving on to item 10. Approve restrictions on vehicle. Are we there? Yeah.
Yep.
Approve restrictions on, this is going faster than I thought. Approved restrictions on vehicle weight limits on certain roads in accordance with 29A MRSA Section 2395 and the Kennebunkport Traffic and Parking Control Ordinance.
I'll make a motion to approve the restrictions on vehicle weight limits on the road as listed.
Second.
And we'll take the roll. Pat?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Alan?
Aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And I say, okay, motion passes. Very good. Next, authorize quit claim deed for map 014, block 002, lot 024. I guess,
So moved. The taxes have been paid. So moved.
This has been paid.
do you want to just say a few words?
Sure.
I don't want to steal your thunder, Denise.
No thunder there. I'm glad they paid. We don't want to take people's properties.
No, we don't.
This item is for a quick claim on the property located at 0 Personage. Northern Ridge Realty Trust came in and paid all the taxes due, and we are requesting authorization to release the property back to them.
Now.
So
Ed.
moved. So moved.
Second.
All right, I'll take the roll. Pat
Aye.
and Mike,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and Sheila says aye. Motion passes. And item 12, update on foreclosed property at 133 Main Street, previously owned by Lisa Gunther.
Yes.
Lori, I could probably give you some information about that, but I'll come in tomorrow and talk to you about it. Is that okay?
Yep.
And I'm sorry, Sheila, for interrupting you.
That's okay. That's okay. So I guess we'll go on.
Yeah, so we did foreclose on this property. We're looking for any additional information. We're having a hard time tracking down the owner. It sounds like Alan might have something for us. But our goal is to secure the owner and see if we can get the back taxes paid. Otherwise, we'll be looking to see how the selectmen want to proceed.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see if we can get her to pay the taxes because, as you know, I live across the street from it, and there's been no activity there for 2 years. So I think she left the country before the pandemic, and for whatever reason has not returned.
All righty. Well, we'll pick this up at another time. Item 13, discussion of public meeting protocols, in-person versus remote.
So as you've seen, the numbers have been going down in terms of positivity rate, and the case volume has been getting much better. Allison informed us yesterday that she's only tested one member of the public in the past 3 weeks.
Wow.
And that is a dramatic
Great.
change from
That's very good.
the dozen people a day she was testing previously. So things seem to be going in the right direction. As we know, it's a bit of a roller coaster, so I can't tell you what'll happen a year from now. But as we look to things improving, there's discussion of mask mandates in schools being reduced come the beginning of March, and people going back to more public settings. So the question that we raised at the last meeting and moving forward, we're talking about whether or not the board wishes to have our public meetings go back to in-person versus remote. And I think that I feel like that time is coming around the corner. I guess I don't know how big the corner is and how you are all feeling about that. I'm thinking for the budget process, I guess my recommendation would be that we stay virtual just because it is a process where there are many people, and I'm not sure everybody's comfort level at this particular point in time, but I'm open to everyone else's feedback.
I think that's a good idea to stay virtual for at least through the budget process and see if we can't go back to live, perhaps in April, as long as things progress in the manner they have.
I agree with that.
I agree too.
I do too, as long as Sheila will wear a mask when we go back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't.
I'll give you one of my used masks.
See, now you got me turning red.
You got one of those diver helmets around out.
Yeah. I've got an old NBC mask from the Army we can put on her.
I think I have one from my father, actually.
I can let you have my old Air Force helmet with the oxygen mask.
There you go.
Well, I would like that better.
Can we paint her name on the front of it, Pat?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think Lori's got the right idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yep.
We're
I'm
going
good
in the
with
right direction. Let's hope we keep going that way.
Do we
Yeah.
have to vote on this or what?
I don't need any action from you at this point because you're not changing your current practice. And I guess we'll keep an eye on things and bring it back at another meeting. But I'm thinking in April sometime we might be able to do that. I don't know if you guys see that. We'll see how March goes, I guess.
Okay.
I hope so.
Mike, you can always put me in the corner on the side.
I've been in the corner many times when I was going to school.
I beg
I was,
you.
I was just pulling your leg, Sheila.
I know. Item 13, discussion of public meeting. Oh, that's what we just did. Item 14, accept a $700 donation from Allison's Restaurant to the general needs account. And thank you very much, Allison's.
Yeah.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
Okay, and Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and Sheila says aye. Thank you, Allison's. And other business, Pat,
Yes, I actually do have other business.
wonderful.
I am pleased to report that tomorrow morning, the Housing Trust will deliver the sixth and final home to its new owners.
Oh, good. Great.
And notwithstanding the snowstorm, mind you, we've got it all set up. It's going to happen at 8:30 at my house. I sign all the documents. It'll be turned over. So we will have completed the task that the Board of Selectmen asked us to do.
Very good.
And successfully, mind you, we've got a very good team. But I would like to say we are looking forward. So it is time to look at options going forward, and you'll be hearing more from us about that as we go along. So it's good news.
Good.
Congratulations, Pat.
Thank you.
Yeah. That was a big undertaking.
You have no idea.
I don't want to know either. Don't say it out loud because we'll never get another volunteer.
Yeah, that's my point. I don't want to scare anybody away.
Pat's only 55 years old. Look what it's done.
Yeah.
I know.
Right. Okay.
All right. Mike, do you have anything?
The only thing that I would like to say on a serious note is that I would like to have us keep Yanina and her family in our thoughts. Her family is in the Ukraine, and I would just like to have us keep her. She's one of our integral parts of our staff at Town Hall.
Yeah, when you go there, talk to her, stop in and say, how are things? What are you hearing from your folks and everything like that? I think
It must be a very, very difficult time for her.
Wow.
But she was just there about a month ago, and 2 months ago now.
She was, yeah.
Yeah, she was there. So at that time, things are okay. But hey, those people are very realistic. They've been through these scenarios before, unfortunately. So let's keep Yanina in our thoughts, okay?
Okay. Thank you. Good. It was a good mention. Alan
Nothing from me, thank you.
and Ed.
Just adding to what Mike said, I did speak to Yanina today, and I told her that the Board of Selectmen were here for her in any capacity that she may need. And normally I wouldn't speak for the board, but I think that we're all in unison in this. So she knows how we feel, and that we're here for her, as I'm sure the rest of the town staff is as well. So thank you for mentioning that, Mike.
That's right.
All right. And I have nothing, so we'll move to Lori.
So I just want to remind everybody that we get to spend every Thursday night together for the next month. So don't want
You're breaking up. We can't hear you. You're breaking up.
So a week from tonight, we'll have our budget message and continue through the budget process that you all know so well over the next month. So every Thursday we'll be here.
At
You know
6
what they
o'clock?
used to say, same bat time, same bat channel.
Okay.
Yes. Wow.
Is that
I'll
it?
move the warrants,
Second.
unless Lori has something else to say.
Nope, all set? All right.
Second.
All right. And Pat,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Alan,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
and I say aye. And next,
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
thank you, everybody. I won't take the roll call.
You sure
Thank
about
you,
that?
everyone, for participating. And we will see you next week.
Thursday.
You will.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good night.
Stay home and safe
Thanks.
tomorrow.